Good morning. Despite being born in Columbia, Missouri, and spending the greater part of my life over in the Show Me State, Nancy convinced me to move over to the dark side here in Kansas. And admittedly, it didn't take much convincing because I had already seen myself settling and living here. We just bought our home in the end of April, and we're very happy with how the whole process ended up working itself out, but that's not to say that it was bumpy and a little crazy along the way. So the whole process of buying a house was kind of summarized in 3 big steps, where preparation beforehand, including selecting our realtor, the hunt for the house itself, and closing. So in preparation, we had it as our life goal, planned well in advance. We had done our due diligence, educating ourselves, reading up as much as we could, what to expect, what questions to ask, what to look for in an agent, what to look for in a house. We scrutinized our budget, figured out how much we could afford, and diligently saved up to make a nice down payment when we were ready to buy. That led us up to, part of that research included having great close friends in Kansas City, close in age, who are a little ahead of us and that they had already bought a house. So we learned the difficulties of this Kansas City market from them and got a little bit more prepared. Along with that included, we got 3 great recommendations from some of our friends on realtors, agents that they were very happy with. And so we actually called them up and sat down and interviewed 3 different realtors trying to find who would be the best fit for us. After ultimately selecting the realtor depended on their experience, the terms of the buyer's agency contract, and ultimately just our comfort with them and our confidence that they would be able to find the home for us. We found the realtor that we were happy with, and we were excited and a little hesitant though to start looking for the actual house. We knew the areas. We had studied maybe school districts, general pricing, what would fit our budget, our long-term goals, that we had narrowed down the type of house and the neighborhoods that we were looking for. But if you might be familiar with today's market, you don't really have the luxury of taking your time, deciding on a particular house. You kind of got to go in knowing what you like so that when you see it, you're ready to pull the trigger. And that's because houses today are listed one day and sold in the same day. Within hours, they have multiple offers, competitive offers, and it's really hard to get the one that you want. So with ammunition loaded up, we were on the hunt, and we started looking at homes with our agent. After seeing a couple that we didn't really like, they weren't for us, we weren't ready to make an offer, on one Wednesday came a house on the market that we liked. It was stretching our budget a little bit, but ultimately we thought this could be a good house for us. We reevaluated our budget, made sure we were okay with it, and put a competitive offer in. It was a pretty restless night that night because we actually didn't hear back from the agent all night despite giving an offer earlier in the day. It was a little frustrating that we weren't even getting feedback, our agent, from the seller's agent, because really they held all the cards. With not much sleep that night, that gave me a chance to continue to check the house listings overnight, and sure enough, another house came available at midnight, transitioning from Wednesday to Thursday. I looked at it, I was excited about it, showed Nancy it in the morning as we were waking up, and we called up our agent and said, hey, we'd like to go look at this one as well. I know we haven't heard back from the Wednesday house, but let's go take a look at Thursdays. We actually got to that house at 7 a.m. in the morning on our way to work, and we were the first ones there, and we actually beat the seller's agent. We were there, he gave our agent the code to get in the front door, and we were there looking at the house before he even arrived to put the sign up in the front yard.
Wow.
So we had a really great we got a chance to meet the agent, have a nice handshake and a good face-to-face, and recognized it was a great house and would be a great house for us, and that we wanted to make an offer. Frustratingly, we hadn't even heard back from the Wednesday house, and we didn't think we would win that house given how competitive we expected it to be. So we ended up rescinding that offer and putting in another competitive offer to Thursday. Luckily, we won the Thursday house, and we got a little bit more perspective just how competitive it was. Wednesday's house, we were one of 8 offers within a couple hours, and we were not selected, or we were not going to be selected. And then Thursday's house, we were one of 3 and got selected. And what they told us, what really set our offer above the rest, was a nice touch that we included, which was an actual personal letter to the seller. So walking through the house, I spotted things. I spotted how the owner had previously well maintained it, things that I could connect with the seller on a personal level, and I wrote up a nice little letter trying to appeal to that and connect with him on an individual letter. And then when they said that they had selected us, they said that we wanted to frame that letter and put it up on our wall. It really connected with them. Finally, closing on that house was smooth sailing. The house was well maintained, the seller was very agreeable, and our agent really earned his commission by having a great inspector lined up and proceeding through the coordination with the seller seamlessly. It was just a mountain of paperwork later, and we had the keys for our first home. So it's a bit of a crazy time in today's market. People have buying power again after the recession. Historically, the interest rates on loans are still low, which encourages people to buy. And actually, there's not a whole lot of houses on the market after the contractors took a hit during the recession as well. It's a crazy, competitive market out there, and it's stressful while you're in it, but ultimately, it's a great experience, and we're ready to chillax and settle into our new home.